Shane Ryan, and I'm a professional swimmer. Oh, my alarm. Yeah, my alarm gets me up, but like really what gets me up in the morning is trying to be the best version of myself every day and try to be better than I was yesterday. I think that really does with the sport that I'm in. It's very competitive, and like you have to, like if you're trying to be better at swimming, you need to swim, and just trying to be better than the other person and try to have that mentality. I think that's what really gets me up in the morning. Like I've been through a period where I will wake up in the morning and just be like, too tired, I'm going to bed, but I had to really kind of look into myself and kind of take a different environment. But then I found the love of the sport and like the love of like trying to love yourself as well. And I think I'm a big believer in trying to be the better version of yourself, but also just like getting up and like put in that work. Because then now I'm starting to see you put in the work and you start to see the results. And I want to be the best version of myself and try to be the best I can for Team Ireland and Ireland. And I think that's what really gets me up. Swimming just means like, I just know, it's just like when I dive in the water, it's just something about it. It's like a kind of a flow state that you kind of get in. And yeah, it means the world to me because it's my life. I'm 30 years old and I've been swimming my whole life. And it's just like, people know me as Shane Ryan, the swimmer, So once I step out into that real world, I won't be that anymore. So yeah, I think for me, swimming is like my life because it's like, I love it and yeah. Earliest memory would have to be, I was in a swim meet, so I'm originally from the States, and during the summer, we always have our, summer league meets. My mom absolutely yelling at me across the pool to get in the water because they started the race and I didn't jump in because I was afraid of the deep end. And I remember my mom was like, "You're gonna take your Game Boy away." And I remember like, "No," and jumped in and ended up winning the race. Yeah. So like with swimming, you definitely have Michael Phelps, but like no one can compare themselves to them. Like he's just a different gravy. He's just on a whole nother level because he is the greatest Olympic athlete ever. But I would always look up at like Michael Jordan as well. Like he was just a different breed. But what he did with his team when he was on the Bulls, about like, all right, this is where I'm at. Either you match this or you don't. And then if you weren't, you gave him shit for it, basically. But for me, like when I came over to Ireland, I kind of brought a different mentality of like, US more encouraging, but like I like to do things kind of like my way, but they're always trying to encourage other people to be at a higher standard. And I always loved Michael Jordan for that because he's always trying to achieve the greatest and be the best he can be day in and day out. And that's something that I always try to do. With the creative swimming, it's like I'm lucky enough that I can swim butterfly, backstroke, and freestyle, right? And I think they're very different in every single way. Backstroke, swimming on your back, and then freestyle's on your front, and butterfly's completely. With butterfly, it's more of a rhythmic kind of thing. Like if you have to have rhythm in that and a flow state in that. And with the other ones, you kind of muscle through. But with my creative side, it's just like, I love trying to create different drills and different things on deck. So trying to put one drill that I made myself, I've never seen anybody else in the world do, is get a belt and then I put a weight on it, like a plate, 5 kg weight, and I try to do some dives on it because it does weigh you down. But like being creative in that way of trying to make different drills to put your body in a different state, to make your body feel weird and different, because you want to be in that uncomfortable zone as long as you can. So when it comes time to race, then you can be comfortable and fluid and trying to be the best you can be. So I love trying to create different drills and trying to put your body in different ways. I think my meditation is actually going out and playing golf. I think because it's like with swimming, it takes so much time and it takes up a lot of my, because I'm day in, day out. Even when I'm not at the pool, I'm still thinking about swimming, but golf takes me away because it's such a skill sport to begin with. That you need to be better at it. You need to go out and play to be better and be skillful at it. And like the more you play, the better you get. Same thing with swimming. The more you swim, the better you get. And I think that's kind of like my meditation. But I also meditate, before I race, like before 53 or something like that. I know it's like, all right, I need to go in, dive, 6 kicks, come up, good breakout with my left arm, not my right arm. And then like trying to be like, ba, ba, ba. Like that's what I say in my head every time when I'm hitting the water. So that's kind of like my flow state. That's kind of my meditation. But then, outside of it, it's definitely playing golf, I think. A normal day if I'm training, so like on our big days or Mondays or Fridays, we have 3 sessions. So then that would be, we swim for 2 hours in the morning, we get a little breakfast, and we train gym for another 2 hours, a little break, and then we swim again. It's very, very difficult. So like sometimes I'll swim, gym, but then I'm eating like my lunch at like 11:30 in the morning just because I can digest for my session that like I have to be on deck for at 2:30. So it's a very complicated, but like during 1 week we could train from 20 hours to 30 hours depending on the timing. It's wild. Yeah, so luckily I've been to twice before, one with COVID, Tokyo, the last one, that was a bit crazy. So in Tokyo, we had to wear a mask even outside, and it was like 38 degrees, wild. But yeah, no, we have our credentials, so we get access to everything that's in the Olympic Village and also other things as well. But we are kind of boxed in. But also, we don't want to be mixing with the public because first, COVID, trying to stay away from like, any, temptations or anything like that. But also just trying to stay in the mental, because we have a job to do. When we get to the Olympic Games, we have a job to do. We have to honor the country and actually represent the country the best we can, and that's really important. So making sure we're staying, focused, making sure we're staying, well fed, well hydrated, and making sure we're not disturbing anybody else or the athletes. Because once we get in there, once we get done competing, we actually leave the village. Before we could stay in the village for that second week, but we can't stay in there the second week because we'll be kind of, out on the, going out and having a bit of fun, but we don't want to be disturbing anybody's performances. So we're going to have to go out and get an Airbnb ourselves and then come back in for the last night then for the opening ceremony. So yeah, it is, kind of chaotic, but we are kind of boxed in, but at the same time, we have a job to do. So it was 2016 in Rio de Janeiro, which was wild. And it was actually like, it wasn't in Rio. The only thing that was in Rio was actually the beach volleyball. Everything else was like 45 minutes away. So the Olympic Village, the other stadiums, because it's just, with the mountains and all the hills and all that stuff, they actually had areas over there. I think they built it over like a swamp, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that was pretty cool. That was my first one. Yeah, so it definitely would have to be walking out on the Olympic semifinal of the 100 back in 2016. I was the only young, but also just being like, top 16 in the world at the Olympic Games is pretty cool. But then also my mom, you can hear my mom anywhere in a stadium or anywhere like that. She's very loud. She's a singer as well, so she has that, the vocals for that. But she gained like about 100 Brazilians to cheer for me. I remember walking out, I'm just like, what is going on? I'm just looking up. So that was really cool. The proudest moment would definitely be walking out in the 2016 Olympic Games in the semifinal. That was definitely one of them. And then the other one was, for me, was winning Swim Ireland's first world medal ever in 2018. So I placed third in the world at short course world championships in China. And that time at that time was like, I think it was like 5th fastest time ever in history, which now I'm sitting, I think 10th fastest time now, a couple years later, which is wild. So I think seeing the tricolor flag being raised on a world stage, pretty cool. Main goal, the sky's the limit. Since I swam the 50 free at Europeans and did so well, haven't swum that event in 4 years, and like I'm sitting 19th or 20th in the world, an event I haven't done. And then also there's a lot more, like I breathed at 35, you don't breathe in a 50, and like stroke rate was very low. That just opens up a whole another doors, I guess, of trying to prolong my career, which is good since I'm 30 now, but I'm getting faster, but I've been loving it as well. So we'll see how long the body goes, but at the same time though, like I just want to try to be the best version of myself and try to be kind to people, and to fans, and also try to inspire the younger generation of swimming in Ireland and even all over the world as well. So yeah, let's kind of see where, and then we'll see where my future goes then. 2-3 years ago, I got shoulder surgery. And I found all this out that like my shoulder was completely gone right before the Tokyo Olympic Games. I found out I had 2 cysts in my scapular nerve, and my labrum was pretty much 85% torn. Swam through the Olympic Games, was able to represent Ireland the best I could, and did really well there. And then afterwards, I got the shoulder surgery, and they didn't know I was going to go if they were going to cut the bicep or not. So I'll go in, wake up in the recovery room, and I have like, did they cut my bicep? They're like, yeah, we cut the bicep. So now that just made it even worse. But trying to get through there, where they went in, they found out my bicep was hanging off by a thread and my labrum was 100% gone. Awful. So they put suture leggings in it, they cut it, sewed it to the bone, my bicep. And oh man, like I remember not being in the water for so long. I was on the bike constantly, in the gym, just using one arm here, trying to manage the wounds as well. Like that was so hard, trying to believe in yourself and trying to like be like, all right, we only have 3 years. But it just time flew by. But luckily I, stayed driven, believed in myself, and had such great support as well throughout everything with Swim Ireland and Sport Ireland and all that. And then eventually, got myself to 3rd Olympic Games, which is great. The best advice I've ever received was it doesn't cost anything to be nice. I'm a big believer in that, and like, because people will know you as a swimmer, people will know you like, oh, you got your medals, but they'll really remember how you treat them. And I think that goes a long way for me.